Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another Watson Brothers video. We're sitting here early January 2019, which means a couple of things, Ian. It means that we're going to talk about the stats for December of 2018. We're going to make our predictions going forward for 2019, as we said we would do last month. And a little analogy, we think that, as with any party, there's a recovery period. And 2016 in the Central Okanagan was ramping up that it was rumored to be a pretty good party. 2017 hit and it was a rock and roll party. And then at some point in time, you've got to recover from that party. And we're looking at 2018, the last half, the last 6 months was, wow, you can't go that hard for that long and not have to step outside and take a little breather. And going forward, you'll get to our predictions. But for now, Ian, December 2018, how did the year wrap up?
The year ended, and it's surprising because if you listen to the media, it's a lot of doom and gloom about prices off, inventory up, and it's true, but overall, the amount of products listed last year versus the year ago, 4.6% higher. Units sold, yes, down about 23%, and sales volume, the dollar volume, down about 18%. So while we didn't have a huge amount more product come on, yes, they sold a little bit less. Barrett and I keep a real close eye on three categories within the stats. One is single-family residential, townhouses, and the apartments. If you look at the residential market overall, inventory was up slightly. I mean, it wasn't huge overall, and so I think you got to temper all of the things that you hear out there with the facts. And the facts, as you know, are attached to the bottom of our email that comes out to you. But if you wanted to just drill down, where I want to talk about is the gap between the amount of units that are sold, and they were down about 23%, versus the dollar volume, which in single-family homes is about 16%. So there's a gap there between the dollars that are generating and the number of units that are going through. Our prediction is that gap is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Right now, there's about a 7% gap. We believe it'll get down to zero or close to it, which means that market will become balanced. And once the market is balanced, there's an opportunity for things to flatten out and things to start to grow again. And at that point, and my prediction is that it'll be about halfway through the year that we're going to see a balanced market, and it'll begin to start to see growth in a number of categories. And those categories likely will be led again by the single-family residential market and the townhomes. Apartments, we're not quite sure because there's a bunch coming on the market over the next little while. Construction started on these 2 years ago, and now they're getting to completion. So we'll see what happens there. But townhomes and houses, we feel, and then they'll start to roll again.
However, assessments. We sit before somebody, they call us up and they say, hey, Watson Brothers, come and evaluate my home. I need to move. I just got my assessments in the mail. What do you guys think it's worth?
We get that question all the time, and I just want to draw your attention to this headline that says, don't count on your assessment for market value of your property, because we often see, and in this market we did, July 1st is the date that BC Assessment looks at your property and says, here's what it's worth. July 1st was 6 months ago. And in that time, the market has gone down, as we have talked about on a monthly basis to you. So you were looking at an evaluation that is old, that you got in the mail in January. We deal with the present and the future, whereas BC Assessment is dealing with what's happened in the past, the same with appraisers. And so we're looking forward into time and saying, here's where, if you need to sell your house, here's where you need to price it at, not where BC Assessment says. BC Assessment is one tool that we use within our toolbox when we're evaluating properties, but it is not the be-all and end-all, and we often caution clients to say, hey, don't put a lot of faith in that number, because it was a number that was derived at A, by somebody not seeing your home, and B, by something that was done and evaluated 6 months ago.
We always smile because it's a number that if you're a seller and it's in your favor, you use it. If you're a buyer and it's in your favor, you use it. But if it's not, it never comes
Nobody
up.
uses it.
Thanks for tuning in. Our predictions are going to be recapped in a year, and it's going to be a fast year, but we think there's lots of good stuff ahead. But as always, 21, 22 years experience now. Ian, Watson Brothers, a phone call away at 250-712-2222. And thank you again for tuning in. We'll talk to you next month.